Alright, let's go ahead and get started with the next one. We're going to work on the leaves falling. Now again, we just want to go to our particle scene. We can go to our scenes and open up our scene grid. Inside of the scene grid, we have a particles folder. The particle folder, you can place your particles inside of here, and or you can just place it outside and work on them from there. Over in the leaves falling folder, inside of our particles folder, you'll notice we have our texture for our leaves. The leaf pattern we currently have is like a fall, autumn type of leaf with the yellow and oranges in it instead of being gray. The reason for this is that we actually wanted to put a little bit more detail into the leaf rather than just doing a gradient color going across it. It does mean that there's less that you can actually shift with when it comes to the particles. You could still add the color on top and it'll blend with it. But the main goal for this one though is to actually have that rich detail inside it while we're using it. We also have the leaf material that's been made. This one is just using the standard alpha blended from the particle shader. We'll have those two set up, so what we need next then is going to be going to our hierarchy and clicking on create. Just go down to the particle system and click on it. So the standard default particle system right there. What we're going to do inside of this is just work through our particles. Now you can either work through the editor side, this window right here. The window looks like this one. If you're going to be working on this one, you could even dock it so that you could see this one all the time. If you think you're going to, what you need is only required the space for like the inspector side, then you can use the inspector part of it. We'll stick with the inspector on this one because we're just going to make a single particle system. When you start doing 2 or 3 or 4 all combined together, that's when you usually find yourself going to the editor side and using that particle panel. Alright, so for this one, what we have on it, we have just to kind of get started with, we have our default Unity particle going up this direction. What we want to do though is actually the opposite way. We want leaves falling downward and just kind of floating soft to the ground, and then when they hit the ground, we're just going to do a little collision check and then have the leaves stop at the bottom. I'm going to take my position and actually zero it out here. And then on the Y, let's take the Y and actually put it up to about 5. That way we're going to have a little space for the leaves to fall this direction. So starting from the top and going down, and when it comes to the particles, you may find yourself jumping around, tweaking variables and things, but we'll try to go in a general top to down approach. That way you can just kind of get used to seeing the same type of rollouts, the same type of labels, and what to expect when you get to them. The first one is going to be the duration. If you have a looping, that means it's going to be how many seconds before it re-loops again. So we're going to go ahead and click for the duration side. Well, instead of doing 5, let's just do a 1 second loop. And then the pre-warm means that it's going to actually immediately start if it's already checked. So instead of being a starting slow, we'll go ahead and leave this unchecked. We'll let it just kind of start slow. For the start delays, start lifetime, start speed, start size, and rotation and color, this is all the standard of what do you want it to look like when it first gets started. So just kind of, and these are going to be things I just continually say and kind of restate just to hopefully get it in your head about your approach and the direction you want to take with it. So the first thing we have in our start lifetime, we have the start delay, we'll leave it at 0. We'll have it get started right then. The start lifetime, kind of hard to decide, is that when we're first starting they may be playing between 1 second to 20 seconds. We'll start with a 4. The speed, we know we want to go in a negative direction, so let's go ahead and do the start speed and just drag it down here. So let's go ahead and get it going downward in a negative direction. And then looking at it here, when you think about a leaf falling, what's the speed of the leaf falling that you want to actually happen here? And might be, I'm going to keep it to just kind of a whole numbers, or we'll see if 2 or yeah, 2 looks like it'll work pretty good right there. So we'll go with 2 on this one. Now one of the first things we want to do though is go from, instead of the top, jump to the bottom where it says renderer. And let's go ahead and place in our leaf. So we have the leaf on the material. if you go to the render rollout right here, you can left click and drag your leaf material over to the material rollout right there and replace the default one. So you'll notice when you replace that one, then all of a sudden you actually get the texture right there with the leaf. Alright. And then we want to take, with this one, we just want to go ahead and let's double check our color on here. And yeah, we'll leave it about 50% for now, and then we'll adjust colors and do all that good stuff to it here. The next thing that we want to do is take our start size. The start size on this one, for the leaves, if you think about trees, they're going to be random in terms of size. So over on the right hand side, you have that little drop down option for the start size. And instead of doing a constant on this one, let's do a random between two constants. And we'll go ahead and just start two sizes, and we'll say that the one size will be like a 0.2, 0.3, and up to a 0.4. So we want it to be just enough that it's kind of small and it can kind of vary between the two as it goes. Alright, on the rotation side as well, let's go ahead and just say that we can do a rotation between the two constants. And let's say we're going to allow it to actually choose a 0 to 360 so that it has the option to start the direction. If you notice, the direction can be anywhere between a full rotation around. So it's going to be like really creating a nice variant on the direction of the leaf pattern. For the start color, I'm just going to place in a color. Let's see what a greenish tint looks like. Let's see. Green sort of looks good, but we might even want to go, there we go. If we go for more of a orangish red, that's going to kind of help blend with what we currently have going on right there. So for my color on the start color, I've just got a 255, 159, or we could even do a 160 so it looks a little bit more even, and the 100. There you go. So we have those on there, and then the gravity multiplier, currently it's at 0 because our speed is actually going downward. If there's no gravity, it's not actually saying the speed is actually the thing dictating where it goes. But we'll go ahead and apply a little bit more gravity to it. So let's go ahead and place this one on it, and let's just do very, very minimal here. Let's do like a 0.05. Maybe, let's see if we do a little bit. Yeah, if we do a little bit too much, it's going to fall a little too quick. So we'll stick to about a 0.02 to 0.05 on that one. We just want a little bit extra pull from the gravity going down right there. Alright, so now the simulation space is on local. Remember, local means that when you move it, it's going to stick directly with it. Now if I change to local to world and I move it, that means that it's just going to spawn it as it goes, and all the pieces that go from it just stay wherever they were spawned from. Alright, now we're going to assume that our tree is in a local space. You're placing the particle directly on a tree, so you don't really have to worry about it being connected to the world. It's just to the tree itself. Alright, so we'll go ahead and keep the play on the wake happening right there, our max particles. The max particles, if you find yourself needing to optimize or you need to kind of control how much is happening, this is always a great spot to be able to cap your particles for it. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to our emissions. So the emission is going to be the rate at what the particles, each one of these being particles, remember these are just square polygons coming down. So each one coming out, we're saying that we want to have 10 coming out per second. Now if we said we wanted 1 per second, then you can see it's just 1, each one coming down like that. So for this one, we want to have a few more. We'll say like 15. You might want to do 15 or 20. It just kind of, it'll depend on the size of your tree and what kind of effect you're wanting to give. You might want to have like just 0.1 every couple of seconds, even if you just want it to be really, really soft and really minimal. For the shape, we currently have this on a cone, and the cone's going to work for us, but we actually want to make this cone a little bit bigger. At the start of it, we kind of have a